Fellow viewers, we are here as members of the Guidance and Counseling P.C.E.A. Kahawa Farmers Church. We are here to present a discussion on family issues. You are all welcome, and we believe that by the time we finish, you all have learned something. In front of you, we have the panelists. On my far right, we have Samuel Wambili. We have Jemima Njoki. On my near left, we have Nancy Wimahaki. And my far left, we have Anled Kamunde. You are all welcome. The family is a very important aspect in our society. We know that family is the foundation of the society. When the family is shaken, the society is also shaken. When the family is shaken, the church is also shaken. So it is very important for us to understand about the issues that happen in our families, how we can be able to sort out those issues so that everybody within the family is going to live a harmonious family, and thereafter we have a harmonious society and a harmonious church. We are going to go through this through questioning and discussion, and to begin, I'll start with Jemima. The question is, how has the corona pandemic affected the families today?
Yes, as you all know that there has been this pandemic, COVID-19, and many people have been affected. As a family, you find that people have really lost their jobs, businesses have gone down, and you find that if finances have gone down, the family is affected. For example, the hotel industry, the business has gone down, and also in the private sectors. Like for example, the schools, you find that the teachers are not paid these days, those that are in private institutions, and you find that this is affecting families. And also something else that has affected the family is that has been a lot of anger because of lack of jobs, and also time management. People are not able to manage time because, for example, people are not doing what they used to do. For example, you used to wake up very early in the morning, you go to work, you come in the evening, and you find that you have a lot of time in the house. And as you have heard that we are working from home, people have been affected because most of the times you are just allowed the home. Children are not going to school, so the family has been affected from the father, mother, and even the children. Yeah.
Thank you. The second question, I'll involve all the members, and it is, there is a lot of conflict and violence in the homes, in the families, and people are blaming the pandemic. Can you give a comment, one comment each? Is it true that it is the pandemic that is causing this conflict and violence in the family?
One comment, it is true, there is so much. People have not been used to being together, especially when we come to the working men who work late. They normally don't come early, to their homes, and they are finding it difficult to be with the other, the wife and the children. So there must be a time of adjusting. They need to adjust to the new phenomena. So I think it is true. There's some conflict in that area.
Okay, there is conflict, but on the contrary, for example, if you see like couples or members of the family fighting, they are just attributing it to the COVID-19. But maybe when they are fighting during this time, it is just to show that they have been fighting. So, on the other hand, contrary to what my fellow councillor has said, I would say that if you fight people fighting during this pandemic, they have been fighting there before. Yeah.
Thank you. Nancy?
Yes, because of the anger that has been caused, many of them are in denial, and they are refusing to accept responsibilities and to have an attitude that faces their reality. Facing their reality is accepting there is a problem and there is a conflict. So if one has positive attitude, they'll be able to have family bonding, time of reflection and evaluation, and prayer time to be in fellowship in the family and with God. So they should be able to have a right attitude while we are having this in order to deal with the anger.
Anred?
I would say this is what we call defense mechanisms in psychology, where people have not learned about relations and conflicts so that they may be able to live well together. So this is a bit of ignorance, and we need to analyze and find out why people are fighting instead of living together in peace. I would go to the Bible and say Jesus came as a mighty counselor, wonderful God. I'm confused about those two. It could be a wonderful counselor and a mighty God, an everlasting Father, and Prince of Peace. We need a lot of knowledge in our families, because family is what we are seeing in the community, in the church, in the families themselves, even outside when we hear people are killing each other. Everything comes from the family, lack of proper, effective education to understand what our family is. So this is just an excuse. And the pandemic, if we go back to the Bible, if God is annoyed, he is annoyed with the family. And so we need to go back and understand what is a family so that we are able to fulfill his purpose according to Genesis chapter 1 from verse 27, 26, 28, so that we do what God intends us to do and learn the values that God has installed to us. We need to learn the Bible, to read the Bible, so that we understand what a family is according to God.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your answers and your comments. We have the third question, is asking, how can we formalize family career education in the society so that all of us know how to live as a harmonious society? Anred, can you answer that?
Thank you very much. I will read only 3 points here because I wanted to be very clear what we need to think about in future. Somebody noted that we send children to school for over 15 years so that they can learn a vocation, yet we teach them practically nothing about marriage, which is far more important than any profession. No one should enter marriage without a series of effective studies on it and interpersonal relationships. There is need for family life education. By learning and practicing a few simple rules can join the percent who enjoy true marital happiness. Parental teaching has fallen short. No training is offered on how to bring up a child who is in the hands of a father and mother who have no idea what to do with it. Thus, parenting becomes an experiment. Our children become guinea pigs. Parents can learn.
Thank you, Anred. The next question, is it important to understand about the developmental stages in human being? Is it important to understand as a family? Nancy, can you answer that?
Yes, it is very important as a parent to understand about the stages of child bringing, right from the age of 3 up to the age of 13 and onwards. Because in every of these stages, there are challenges and crises that each and every individual goes through. If a parent does not understand about the challenges and the crises in these stages, it will be very hard to nurture and help develop their children to successfully move from one stage to the other. It is very important for a parent to understand that you need to have quality time with your child, be the one to discipline that child, give healthy diet and nutrition, character building, teach against alcohol and drug abuse and bad company, deal with all conflicts positively and effectively within the home, proper and good communication, that is, You have active listening to your children. Listen to what the child is going through in every stage. There is schooling, there is preschooling, there is secondary, there is university schooling, and there is also the area of when now they move from the home to their marriages and the dating and adolescent levels. In these stages, it is very important for the parent to have the right understanding about these developmental stages of every human being, and especially their own children.
Thank you.
Give an example, please.
Yeah, okay.
I want to give an example of when Jesus reached this stage of adolescence. He was 12 years old. They went with the parents. And where they went, Jesus was left behind. This one tells us that the parents had also assumed, and assumption is not very important, very good, that they are with Jesus. Jesus decided to be left behind. There was no communication. And when now the parents went, they went looking for Jesus in different homes, so they knew where Jesus was going. But this particular day, they went back, and they were very uncomfortable because they asked him, "Son, why are you doing this to us?" That was not a very good communication. Then Jesus asked them, he asked them, "Why are you looking for me? Didn't you know I was supposed to be in my father's home?" So you can look at an adolescent who is now starting to ask, "Who am I?" Identifying himself and wanting to know where they belong. That is why my fellow has talked about here, understanding about developmental stages. We have theories. It's called Freud. I'm finishing now. And that theorist said, by the time the children are reaching age 12, you should have prepared them very well and very clearly. Even tradition Africa, when children reached 12 years, they were separated. Boys were taken to the men, and the girls were taken to the women to teach them about life.
Thank you, Honored. The next question, I'll direct it to Jebima. How much are people prepared to understand issues of dating, marriage, and parenting? How much are people prepared to understand issues of dating, marriage, and parenting?
Viewers, there's something I wanted to comment about the marriage and how people are supposed to be prepared. For example, it is important for one to go for premarital counseling, and especially when you are dating. That knowledge is very important because it helps you to know to know what you expect in marriage and to be aware of things that maybe can separate you during marriage and the issues that are very important in marriage. For example, the finances, about sex and intimacy, something about parenting, something about communication. So I would say that if one is preparing to get married, it is very important to have premarital counseling so that you can be able to tackle everything that comes in your family. Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody who has a comment on
Yes,
that?
I'd like to comment on the fact that in the book of 1 Corinthians 15:33, it says, "Do not be deceived. Bad communication, bad company spoils good manners." When we come to dating, it is very important for every individual in that stage to know how to make friends, the right kind of friends. Know the people that you're being with. And know that when you have friends, know that you break up. When you break up, learn to continue with your life. Also, know your limitations as a person. Know the limitations that when you're in this company or in this relationship, there are areas of your body they should not touch. So whenever you are in dating, ensure that you are in a room that you're with more than 2 people, especially if you're in your adolescent and teenage area. Learn to communicate with your parents, with the church, and use the traditions that you have been taught as their values and norms when you're in dating, so that you will be in good company.
Thank you.
Like
Any
comment-
general comment about
Any comment
parents?
about the same dating? Because I think it is important for whoever is going to that particular stage to understand the different levels of friendship. Friendship. There is the agape, the love. We talk about love now. There is the agape love. There is the friendship, what we can call friendship, and then there is the what we call the intimate love. So it is good for one to understand what stage or what kind of love, what kind of friendship do I want with this particular person, so that so that you don't go to an extent where you get lost in the middle. Agape love, we'll say, is that intimate love, that love which is, how do I put it? Agape love is like the love of God. You see, the love of God. God who loves you without any limit. There is the friendship. Friendship in the family. You can love somebody through love, not the love of knowing each other. You want to be close to somebody, but you don't want to go to another length. But there is that intimate friendship. How do I feel when I am with this particular person? The feelings will tell you this is the particular person, because I'm feeling is those inside the feelings within you will definitely tell you this is the right person. But you cannot mix all these different stages of love and make a conclusion. So I would say whoever is going to that particular stage, it's better to get proper counseling so that you know whether you are really dealing with a particular a person who is ready to marry you, or to have a everlasting, or what we call relationship.
Okay, thank you
Yep.
very
And
much.
in,
Madam, I think what
Can
there
you,
is
can
just
you
a
be very
minute.
fast as
Yeah.
you answer
Yes.
because of time?
We are in a setup where we are introducing family issues. So we are only encouraging people to go to professional Christian counselors to be able to teach them these things. Because many times when we talk about
Premarital.
premarital counseling, people meet first and then they go to see the reverend. They need to have the prior knowledge of what is dating, so that when someone thinks of starting to date, they have the knowledge, they have the information.
Exactly. Okay, thank you. You had something very
yes,
quickly?
when now you are entering into marriage, you have to understand about communicating effectively, know his or her needs. It is very important to understand that every one of you has got needs, and to be able to cope. And also accept each other's strengths and weaknesses and the habits, and work together, because you are building a family, and if you do not work together, you will have conflicts and many issues. So if you understand one another through effective communication, know one's needs, and have a good sex education, you will be able to have a healthy family and a harmonious one.
Thank you. Thank you, Nancy. Our next question is about other contemporary issues that are rising, that parents are realizing my child is like this and you don't know. So what are some other contemporary issues that are coming to us in a family and we may not be aware of them? Contemporary issues. You know, the issues that parents are not even ready to talk about with their children, but then they realize, it's just naming them. There's not much explanation.
Issues on sexuality.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any other?
We have issues that now we have the new technology, and our children are being allowed to watch the television, and they have been given the phones. We need to supervise what they are reading or what they are watching. What they are going to learn from those things, if they are not well supervised, are going to be cults, immoralities, e.g. masturbations and pornography, lesbianism, and also another thing that is now happening in our family is polygamous families. These are some of the contemporary issues that affect our families that really need a lot of guidance from the family that has got proper supervision.
Thank you. Do
As
you
we
have
s-
any other? Maybe one more.
As we said, that parents need to learn. The CBC, this new curriculum is coming up, and we need every parent to understand what they are learning in school. Right now, there is an NGO that is teaching holistic sexuality to the children, if you are not aware. And the children will be taught, they'll be allowed to abort, to have sex the way they want, to start lesbianism as this has been, and we had, let me not move there, let me say we had an International Conference Day of Population here, and the international body wanted our president to sign that bill, but we thank God that the president did not sign it. So be very careful and know that things are coming from international bodies. Some of them are even mentioning the World Health Organization. Some are fighting to get out of it because of the issues that they are bringing to our country. So parents, communities, everybody else, be very alert. Understand what is happening.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you very much. Our next question is, what are the dangers of our children not getting this information, especially when they reach adolescence and young adults? Very briefly.
Okay. I would say
danger. What
the
are
danger.
dangers?
The dangers are
If
many.
they have not received that information, and especially by the time they are in the adolescent stage and young adults.
I would say when we come to children, they require a lot of teaching, a lot of communication, even within the family setup, so that at least they know what they are supposed to know, to do. And when we talk about the family issues, we should talk about the habits, and we ask ourselves, how are habits formed? How do we get the habits, the kind of things we do? In some cases, I would like to say that we acquire habits from our parents, whatever our parents are doing, our significant others, or even the environment. And when we acquire these habits, we continue with them and they become behaviors. And when they have become behaviors, definitely we'll be talking about so-and-so behaviors. And then if they end up being a character, you build a character out of behaviors. So the thing is, if you have to communicate with your children, you should be able to teach them, or you should be the role model of whatever you want them to do. But they copy the habits, those habits you do. They are even acquired from your great grandparents, and then they are carried forward. So the best thing is for the parent to know what kind of habits are within my family, what kind of habits should I continue with, or what should be discarded. So I would say there is so much for the children. There are a lot of dangers because we are following things from our parents, from the environment, the schools, whatever we are seeing from the school, those the peer groups within the locality, and all these dangers actually affect the children. So we have to be very careful and communicate with our children to get out of these many dangers which are there today.
Can you be a little bit more specific?
Yes.
To specify a particular danger that the child is going to get into?
Can I help him there?
Let Jemima answer.
Yes, some of the dangers, something like cults, radicalization, and something else is like watching pornographic materials. Those are some of the dangers that our children can get into if they don't receive proper education.
Sure.
Yeah.
You had something.
Yes.
Yeah, let me read. Let me say that many young people today are wondering whether marriage is necessary to engage in sexual activity or in living together as man and wife, woman in intimate relationships. Some live together for a few years first. Others consider marriage on a tentative basis, not thinking of it as a permanent relationship. Till death do us part. Marriage to them is terminable when it is found unfavorable. So, from the word go, we need to understand what God meant between Adam and Eve.
Okay.
Some of the issues that our adolescent children or teenagers are undergoing because of not being well informed by their parents: early pregnancies, school dropouts. They get depressed because they've not been well attentioned, and they commit suicide. They become, because of anger, because of not being given enough attention by their children, they become angry by their parents. And in their adulthood, they become irresponsible, they become dependent, rebellious, and disrespectful.
Thank you, Nancy. Our next question is a simple one, and maybe each one of you can give an example. Mention a few families in the Bible who had family problems. We start with Sam.
Well, in the Bible, there are so many families, some, dysfunctional families, even if we start with David.
Yeah.
I'll talk about David very briefly. Okay, very briefly. David, we know very well, he's a man after the God's heart. It is known, David is a man after the God's heart. It's recorded that. But when you look at the moment he started the sin of adultery with the wife Bathsheba, it followed down to his family line, up to the point where you find his oldest son Ammon, what he did to his sister. And then you go to Absalom. Absalom, who killed his brother Ammon to revenge against his sister Tamar. So you find there was so much, in the Bible there's so much. And Absalom decides to take over his father's kingdom.
Okay,
and at the same time, he wants to go with the father's concubines.
That's okay.
So
That's okay.
you can-
Any
okay.
other one?
Yes, you look at Jacob. Jacob who mourned his son Joseph, but he's the one that created the problem because he favored Joseph. And because he favored Joseph, he caused jealousy with the sons who sold Joseph to Egypt.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just one, very briefly. Very briefly.
I just wanted to comment about Eri and the children, because they were sinning against God. They were going to the altar, they were taking the meat that was supposed to be for God, and they were also defiling women who were coming to the temple. So you can see how the Eri sons and what happened after that. They died, and also the father died. Yeah.
Yes, just one. Brief.
Job with parting children. He had to be waking up very early. Oh, sorry. Job with his parting children. And he had to be waking up very early to go and pray for them. So he was a good parent, at least. We can see the positivity. Although the children were parting, and children should stop parting. They should be agreeing with their parents.
Exactly. Thank you, Anred. The other question, we are about to finish. What are some of the causes of family problems? One example each.
Okay, I'll start with lack of communication.
Yes.
Issues about sexuality.
Yes.
Issues of poor communications,
That one has been said.
misunderstandings, lack of planning.
Okay. Anred, the last one.
We can talk about the loss of jobs.
Not talking about, but mentioning.
Okay, events like loss of jobs, movement to another country, marriage, racial and culture is their decision making, lack of family stages of development, understanding,
Okay.
and expectations.
Thank you. The next question, what are some of the counseling issues that are affecting families? Counseling issues. Counseling issues are those issues that we use maybe to guide the parents so that we can parent the children, etc. What are some of the examples of the counseling issues that we need to use and they're not being used? And some of them you have mentioned them as we are moving on. As a counselor, if you are counseling a family, what are some of the
The main ones are communication, finances, dealing with difficult children, struggling with emotional issues. This interfere with work, disrupt families, and crisis build.
That is very true. Any other person with something else that we can add on what Andred has said? I think we have understood all that. Okay. And there's also peer pressure, life skills. Okay. What interventions should we take to reduce these family problems? What interventions? Maybe as counselors.
Effective communication,
Yes.
empathy, active listening, forgiveness, deal with the problems, not the people. Separate the problem and the people. Identify the IP, identify the affected person in the family. Then allow family association. That is, allow people to talk and discuss. And using UPR, listen to everything that they say. And if you have got active listening and you know your children, you'll be able to know what to deal with every individual because they have got different temperaments in the family. They are not the same. Another thing is help family, use the family, go to a counselor who will give you counseling. And in counseling, you'll be able to improve on family communication, solve problems, and maintain or create a better functioning home environment to maintain the equilibrium in the family and be a good role model. If you read Titus, the book of Titus 2, you will find how you should be able to bring up your family, an effective, healthy family.
Thank you.
Can I conclude one sentence only?
You have a point?
Yeah, just one.
Okay.
For the whole of this nation to work well with families, I feel that in our national government, we have children's department, we have youth department, we have gender. There is no parenting. We need to put a Ministry of Family Career on its own in the national government.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we are through with our questions, but there is one last question I would like to ask. What life lessons have you learned from the pandemic? Kila mtu moja moja. Life lessons that you have learned from this pandemic.
Well, life lessons, one which I've learned is that we are all the same. We human beings, we are all the same.
Jemima,
We should love one another.
Nancy,
Love your neighbor as you love yourself.
Unread.
We should learn to learn together in peace.
Thank you. Okay. We are imagining that we have viewers who are watching us. What would be your last parting shot that you can advise a parent?
I would say at this particular time, we need to seek counseling services so that at least those things which are disturbing us can be solved. We need to have peace. And peace cannot come just like that. We need to have somebody to talk and accept that these things are reality. When you have accepted, you'll be able to cope up with the rest. Thank you.
On top of that, I would like to add that it is always good to seek Jesus Christ as the best counselor in our lives as a family.
Thank you, Nancy.
It is also important to know how to plan your family. Immediately that you become a parent, you are going to become a parent until the day you shall get out of this world. You continue to be a parent even when you are 100 and your children are in their 50s, you are still a parent. So it is a lifetime commitment, and you need to be faithful, committed, and plan your family and put God first.
Thank you.
Family was started by God, and if it is marriage, it should be permanent. And let us stop bringing up children as guinea pigs. Let us seek knowledge to be able to do what is right.
Thank you.
And everybody should read the Bible. The Bible was written for the family.
Okay, thank you so much. That's all we have, viewers. We have heard that parents need psycho-education so that they are able to handle and teach their children and get the relevant knowledge. If you read the verse that you have been told by one of our panelists, Titus chapter 2, verse 1 up to 15, the heading of that says, following the true teaching. So parents, can you read that? Even us, can we all read that? So that we can see what does the Bible tell us, that we have to do learning all the time. We teach our children, we teach the old people, so teachers, counselors, reverends, can we do that work? We teach the old people, the old men, the old women, the young, and even the children. And at the end of it, we are going to live a harmonious life. So thank you very much, listeners or viewers. But remember, the pandemic is still on. It is still with us. So remember to observe the rules given by the Ministry of Health. Observe those simple rules so that you are able to break the chain of this coronavirus. And you are going to be able to live comfortably. So thank you very much. May God bless you.